Hello, everybody. It's Lee McQueen with more updates on the fascinating Democrat primary race for president for 2016. And I've been noting some interesting developments as of late. Mainstream media has telegraphed its attempts and its intentions to call the Democrat primary over early, before all states have voted. The reason why they're doing this are several. The reason that they're telling everyone this is pretty interesting. They have an interesting way of adding up the delegates, but they actually want to serve as Hillary Clinton's multimedia firewall. And so I think that's a part of it. They want to call the Democrat Party race over immediately following voting results from New Jersey on June 7th. So New Jersey's on the East Coast, and so their polls will close earlier than California, 3 hours earlier, and then also earlier than New Mexico and Montana and, maybe some other states as well. So immediately following New Jersey, the mainstream media wants to say that the race is over and that Hillary has won, and they want to race up and put that crown on her, just like Miss Columbia. And we know how that turned out, don't we? Don't put that crown on Hillary yet. You're going to hurt people's feelings. You're going to hurt her feelings. You're going to hurt her supporters' feelings. But the Democrat primary race will not be over. They're trying to say that Hillary Clinton's going to reach the required number of delegates in order to win, but that's not true. That is a fabrication and a fantasy. It's actually not true. But the loud and shrill and shrieking calls for Bernie Sanders to exit the Democrat primary race have not worked. And so now they're going to resort to just saying, well, it's over, even though it isn't over. Because for one, Washington, D.C. Does not vote in the primary until June 14th. And so Bernie Sanders is going to swing on over back to the East Coast to campaign and spread his message of hope and inspiration and progress and future focus to Washington, D.C. And why shouldn't he? Everyone else has gotten to hear and to see and to feel the burn, and Washington, D.C. should be able to do that too. As well, the superdelegate primary, when the superdelegates finally cast their votes, take place at the Democrat National Convention in Philadelphia. That's not until July 25th through the 28th. So the race is not over, and the mainstream media is willfully confusing itself. Even though they're trying to say that Hillary Clinton will have reached the required number of delegates, which is 2,393, she will not be able to reach that number, not until and unless the superdelegates vote for her at the Democrat National Convention. She will have not reached that number. Bernie Sanders will not have reached that number either. So Bernie Sanders is approximately at 1501. Hillary Clinton is approximately at 1769. So Bernie Sanders is at 1,501. Hillary Clinton is at 1,769. She's 268 delegates in the lead. And the fact that there's about over 600 delegates up for grabs on Tuesday. So actually the race could go either direction. If Bernie prevails in California and knocks it way out of the park and does pretty good in New Mexico and Montana and some other states. Um, who knows what he's going to do in New Jersey? So the race is not over after New Jersey. There's more voting that takes place. Now Hillary is in the lead, but she will not cross the finish line by tomorrow. Neither Bernie Sanders nor Hillary Clinton are able to cross the finish line on Tuesday. So the race will not be over. Now, Hillary Clinton may be in the lead, or Bernie Sanders might catch up to her with the California voting. So the primary voting is going on through July. Washington, D.C. holds its primary on June 14th. So that's another week. And then the superdelegates hold their primary on July 25th through 28th. None of the superdelegates have voted. They've signaled their intentions in a poll. So the superdelegates have been polled, and their polling leans towards Hillary Clinton. But we've seen polls go up, we've seen polls go down, we've seen voting exceed expectations, we've seen voting go below expectations. So the race is not over, not until July. It's a contested convention. Bernie Sanders is going to go there and make his case on why he should be the president and why Hillary Clinton should not. So the mainstream media wants to call the race over, but it's just not over. The numbers don't add up. Feel the math. Hillary cannot win with the amount of pledged delegates that she has. And the superdelegates do not vote until the 25th of July. The second reason that Bernie cannot and likely will not leave the race after Tuesday, even when CNN says, well, go, he hasn't listened to them this far. I don't think he's going to listen to them on Tuesday. The other reason is Hillary Clinton remains under 2 open and active criminal investigations by the FBI. And she has been, up until now, caught in several lies about this investigation. She's lied about her performance with her email server at the State Department. She mischaracterized it. She's also lied about the State Department saying they knew what she was doing and it was allowed by the rules, and it wasn't. That was a lie. She's lied about the nature of the investigation by the FBI, calling it a security inquiry or a security review, and the FBI had to correct her. And then the Inspector General had to correct her again on the rules that she actually did break at the State Department. And then she's also lying about Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell and saying, well, they did the same thing. And yet again, the Inspector General has to correct her and say, no, that's not true. And she's saying, well, I've been open and honest. And again, we're learning that no, she hasn't. So there's been so many lies and obfuscations. I'm not using that word because I can't say it. But misdirections and spins. She spun it, flipped it, rubbed it down, and it's still not looking really good. So we have yet to discover what the FBI is working on. And then the media has not been informing us, the public, about what's been happening. And so basically we've had to do our own research and go online and see what's happening. And so, they have their own agenda behind that, kind of burying the story. But if you go to Judicial Watch, which is a conservative think tank, and you click on their site. I think it's judicialwatch.org. I'll have the link in the description. You'll learn that all throughout the month of June, Hillary Clinton's staff at state will be deposed. They're going to ask her staff questions, and it's going to be under oath, and they're going to review the answers and then provide the transcript to the public. And Cheryl Mills has already testified to Judicial Watch. Her testimony covered Clinton's use of emails, whether Freedom of Information Act searches were done on the emails, information about the setup of the Clinton email server, Mills's communications about the emails with Bryan Pagliano, who is the email server's daddy. He created it and set it up. Mills's involvement with prior Clinton email controversies, and the handling of freedom of information requests. And apparently, according to Judicial Watch, Mills's attorney actually instructed her to not answer many questions. And so the transcript of that testimony of Cheryl Mills is currently available at Judicial Watch. So that one has already taken place. And then also, Stephen Mull, who is the former executive secretary under Clinton, he was on the schedule to be deposed last Friday. So he was also deposed on June 3rd. And then, most interesting of all, Bryan Pagliano, the former state IT employee, who is the private email server's daddy. He's the one that set it up and got paid off the books by Clinton and for moonlighting for Clinton against the rules and protocols and procedures at the State Department. He is scheduled to testify before Judicial Watch on Monday, June 6th. So the day before Super Tuesday, or the last Super Tuesday, the day before New Jersey and California, New Mexico, Montana, and other states have their primary, Bryan Pagliano, who's already pleaded the fifth to other people, he is going to hopefully be more forthcoming with Judicial Watch. And we'll see whether the mainstream media bothers to cover that in their rush to put that South Miss Columbia crown on Hillary Clinton and hope that a vat of pig blood doesn't fall on her. That's a bad joke. Okay. And so there's also another State Department official who's not named. He's going to testify on June 9th. And then Huma Abedin is going to be testifying for Judicial Watch on June 28th. So we're all the way through June. There's going to be depositions. And then the top State Department official, Patrick Kennedy, is going to testify for Judicial Watch on June 29th. And so before and then during the voting of the last primary, there's going to be testimonies collected by Judicial Watch about the criminal case against Hillary Clinton. And so no wonder Bernie Sanders is staying in the race. And there's also questions about the Clinton Foundation, some of the behavior that's been taking place over there with the gifts and the money going in and out, and the questions about favors. Hillary Clinton's staff will be deposed all through June. And this is likely why mainstream media is trying to convince Bernie Sanders to drop out before the race is even over. And I think the shrill suggestions that he's received up until now will become a screen after California and New Jersey, because I do think that California is looking really good for Bernie Sanders. He's going to rack up some more delegates, probably bring the margin closer, maybe even past Clinton, and because of all these questions that have come up. And who knows what the balance or the ratio is going to be after tomorrow or after Tuesday. But anyway, so the mainstream media is going to attempt to call the race early for Clinton before the rest of the primaries take place in Washington, D.C., and then the superdelegate primary actually before the western states vote after New Jersey. They're going to try to call the race after New Jersey, but before California and New Mexico, Montana, and the other western states vote, and then before Washington, D.C. votes, and then before the superdelegates vote. So that's irresponsible reporting, that's inaccurate reporting, that's definitely biased reporting. And then now we can understand why we have this multimedia firewall for Hillary Clinton. But anyway, they're going to try to call the race over before Judicial Watch can release Bryan Pagliano's transcript. And this is why you don't really hear a lot of updates about this criminal case against Hillary Clinton from mainstream media. You don't hear words like racketeering, bribery, espionage, things that have come up in other discussions online, we'll say, from online news sources in connection with the private email server, classified documents, and the exposure of classified information via the email server of the State Department, and then also the Clinton Foundation too. They're attempting to bury this story of Hillary Clinton's FBI criminal investigation until after the convention. And so they'll try to convince Bernie Sanders to drop out, kind of shut down that FBI investigation and kind of bury it. And then after the convention, maybe like, oh yeah, and she's guilty. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. I don't think the mainstream media is going to be successful in its attempt. Bernie Sanders is contesting the convention because neither he nor Hillary Clinton can reach 2,393, which is the number needed in pledged delegates. They both are going to need superdelegates in order to reach that number because there aren't enough pledged delegates left. They split them too closely. The superdelegate primary, which is the last and final primary, does not take place until the convention, which is July 25th through 28th in Philadelphia. The superdelegates can announce their intentions of how they plan to vote, or how they intend to vote, or how they want to vote, but the vote does not get cast until July 25th through 28th, and the superdelegates can change their mind back and forth up until then. So the race is not over. But they cannot and they will not cast their vote for either candidate, either Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton, until July 25th through 28th in Philadelphia. So neither candidate, neither Hillary Clinton nor Bernie Sanders can actually win the Democrat primary until the contested convention in Philadelphia. And then hopefully we'll know whether Hillary Clinton is guilty or innocent during the investigation by the FBI. And I think that's something that we do need to know. We need to know whether Hillary Clinton is fit for high office, and the FBI may be able to determine that. But even before the FBI does that, it may be the rest of the voters in California, in Washington, D.C., in New Jersey, New Mexico, who might determine that. But if it's still up in the air, whether one or the other will win, then the superdelegates will have the final say. And I think we'll have more information from the FBI about whether Hillary Clinton is even fit for high office. So news you can use, and look for more information at this channel.